Good afternoon, this is Sam Gibson, and I'm here at Emerg+NC Properties Rescuers with the owners Kevin and Ryan Oakley, a father and son ownership duo of this great company. Kevin, we're going to start with you. Tell me a little bit and describe, if you would, Emerg+NC Properties Rescuers and what it's about.
Well, Emerg+NC Property Rescuers is a property damage restoration business, and we focus on a kind of a different model than most businesses like us. We are a direct-to-consumer business where we brand ourselves in an easy way for customers to know who we are, and then we focus on getting them to be interested in us and having them reach out to us, as opposed to the other way around that most companies do. We are in the fire and water and mold and smoke and wind and storm damage business for all intents and purposes.
Okay. Does other companies similar to you guys do the same thing?
Yeah, other companies do these same kind of functions, but most of those companies market themselves to insurance companies, and so their customers end up being whoever the insurance company is or whoever the insurance agent or adjuster is. Our customer is the end user of our services.
Okay.
And so that's the primary difference.
Okay, so this is basically a benefit to your customer.
Yeah, it's
That's what you're working for.
a different look at the same market, with a focus being on their needs primarily, and customers these days want that kind of special attention.
We truly work for the homeowner,
Okay.
not the insurance industry.
Okay, okay. Do you find sometimes that the insurance companies, sort of limit you guys' ability to serve the customer? Is that a possibility?
Sure. I think the issue is not so much that they want to limit us. The issue is they want to control the process. The goal here isn't to give the customer less for their investment. I mean, basically, insurance is an investment tool, just like putting money in a bank. And the goal here is for the customer to actually get what they deserve out of the insurance product that they've been buying and investing in for X number of years. And so the insurance companies have a tendency they want to control it, because if they can, if 100% of the work needs to be done and they'd really only like to pay for 80% of the work, then they're going to try to find folks that will work for them as opposed to work for the end user.
Okay.
The thing about that is there's a standard. There's a standard of drying, there's a standard of property restoration that everybody should adhere to. And us working directly for the homeowner, we follow the standard. We don't have any ties to any insurance companies, so if they try to put pressure on us to move away from the standard, we don't. We just do things by the book.
And that keeps the playing field even. We because the standards tell professionals like us how to do the job, and we follow the standards, then our integrity is always maintained.
Okay.
The other part of it is that the insurance pricing of the projects is a standardized pricing perspective. We use the same estimation software as the adjusters use who come out and look at a claim. And we spend more time making sure that the customer actually gets what happens to their home, gets taken care of correctly.
Okay.
And that's really what customers want, as opposed to getting part of what they should get.
It's actually the same price list that all of our competitors use as well. The difference being we actually work for the homeowner and not the insurance company.
Okay. What would you guys say the primary type of property rescue work that you guys do? Is it fire, smoke, water?
Probably about 90% of what we do is water related. And I would also throw mold in there as well, just because without water there is no mold. But the majority of the work that we get is broken pipe, flood, sewage backup kind of work, which then rolls into the mold work when left long done.
Okay, all right, interesting.
The other part of that is if there is a fire, there's typically smoke and water associated with it. So even if there's a fire,
Right.
you know, you need to know what to do from a water mitigation perspective,
Right.
to address the fire, cleaning up and reconstructing process.
Right after the firemen are in the house and putting out the fire and unleashing all the hoses and the water, there's water and fire damage.
Right, I understand.
But the name of our business is Emerg+NC Property Rescuers because we focus on emergencies.
Okay.
And if you get the emergency, you take care of the customer, then you have the ability to provide them all the services that come along with
Okay,
it.
great. So how do customers know who they should call when an emergency damage event happens?
Well, the real criteria should be what's in the best customer's interest. If the customer is looking for somebody that's looking for their needs to be addressed, they should shy away from preferred vendors and or third-party administrative groups that distribute companies to them in favor of the insurance company, because unfortunately that restoration company becomes a company that works for the insurance company and not one that works for the customer. And the reason that's an issue is because where do their priorities lie? What's going to happen if they don't do exactly what the insurance companies feel is important? When in fact, if we work for the customer, we're only going to follow the standards and do exactly what they're looking for.
Right.
The primary difference is if someone has a preferred vendor group that the insurance company is referring to them, the first question is who does that company work for?
Right, okay.
And that's a good way to filter out whether or not that's somebody you'd want to have working for you or not.
Okay. As a general standard for a regular consumer, are there certain credentials that we should be looking for in a property rescue company that sort of signifies that they are properly trained to perform mold, remove mold, handle water damage or smoke or whatever? Ryan?
So you want to make sure that they do have all the proper training, whether it be through the IICRC, training courses, and have experience in the industry. You want to make sure that they have general liability insurance and full fungal liability as well. That's something that we carry. Fungal liability insurance, I like to compare it to, it'd be like hiring a plumber, a non-licensed plumber. If you hire a restoration company that does not have fungal insurance, and that's a separate rider on the insurance policy, not just general liability. If there was any secondary damage, cross-contamination, mold spores get into the HVAC and get circulated throughout the house, it would fall on the property owner for not properly vetting. We are one of the few in the area that go above and beyond to get that full fungal liability insurance.
And that type of coverage is called contractor pollution liability coverage, and it basically covers as an umbrella any secondary problems related to fungal, bacteria, viral, or pollution-related issues that might come back and find, where a customer may not have full coverage, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road when somebody finds out that the company that came in and did the work really didn't do it properly, then it covers and created a mold problem, for example. It covers continuously the water damage mitigation work and any secondary mold contamination. we all strive to do our jobs perfectly, but someone makes a mistake, and
Sure.
people are people, then the customer is covered. And so is the insurance company, who may have suggested us to them on a casual basis.
Right.
So anybody who suggests us or refers us will not become involved in a nasty litigation if in fact the company you're suggesting is properly insured.
Okay. Now, do you guys just work here in the Triangle area? What is your coverage area as far as where you guys are willing to help?
We typically on a day-to-day work about a 60-mile radius around the Raleigh area. We'll really go wherever the work is. We have done some storm chasing, so when the coast gets hit with a hurricane and those areas are under service just with the regular restoration companies out there, we'll go out there and spend a couple weeks or whatnot helping out, and sometimes that's a good thing.
Now, does it primarily residential properties, commercial properties? Does it matter with you guys? Or?
Luckily, we're large enough to do large commercial jobs, but we do a lot of residential as well. So we can do both.
Okay.
We have over 400 pieces of specialty drawing equipment and all the resources and box trucks and equipment that we need to cover a lot of area at the same time.
Okay, good. Now, for other aspiring business owners such as yourself, who's designed to get to you guys' level of success, what are maybe 2 or 3 tidbits of advice that could you possibly give them as they're trying to get started or maybe trying to grow their smaller business into a little bit larger size business?
Well, we don't give them all the trade secrets.
Okay, all right.
But no, unfortunately, there's a lot of customers that need these kinds of services, and we have our way of going about doing it, which is an innovative way of going about doing it. If someone were interested in getting involved in this business,
Well, I would say not just necessarily the property,
No, okay.
but any type of small business.
oh well, of course. Well,
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you guys to give away your trade.
I would say think outside the box, especially if you're in a competitive area and you see all your competitors doing one thing. If you really want to get a strong grasp of the market, then try something different.
Okay. All right.
so, clearly, I think it always comes down to customer service and word of mouth referrals and providing. When no one shops for this kind of thing in our niche, so we have to be able to be very professional and essentially close the job within about 5 minutes most of the time. And so it always comes down to taking good care of the customer in any business that you'd want to. If it's a service business, for sure, and then making sure that you follow up and get others to understand, how well you're able to take care of customers who then tell other people and so on and so forth.
Okay. Well, tell me, if you will, why the property and rescue business? And what was the driving force to get this thing started for you guys?
Well, I spent most of my career in corporate America in smaller and larger high-tech businesses. Because I worked in smaller startup businesses, I always enjoyed the entrepreneurial aspect of being there, watching a business in its early starting stages, and then being a part of its growth. It was always more fun to be a part of an early startup than it was to be a part of a big machine.
Right.
And so what happened, when I was about 10 years ago, I found myself looking for ways to go about doing that. And I was able to, I had some land assets that I was able to liquidate and buy into a business concept, and that's what we did here. the nice thing about this business is it's the barrier to entry is not impossible for people to get into, but it's not easy from the standpoint that you have to be willing to go out and invest a few $100,000 in equipment and technology and to get there. But then the other exciting thing about it is it's because it's complicated, not everybody can do it. And then eventually, after you get through the discussion process of getting everybody on the same, which is challenging, in the same line of thinking, you eventually get paid, right? And you get paid by a source that's typically quite a good one. That would be a large insurance company or something. So the challenge is getting through the ongoing cash flow because of the things that you have to do in advance. But if you like a challenge and if you like being in control of your own destiny, this is a good one to do that, especially if you like technology, because it certainly has all of those things wrapped up in one bundle.
Okay, all right. And one final question. Tell me, and I know we talked about the things that make Emerg+NC unique, but tell me, one final question again, tell me why the customer should call Emerg+NC.
Because we're family owned and operated, we do quality work, and we truly have the homeowner's best interest in mind.
All right. All right. That's it. Thanks.
Okay.
Appreciate it.